Glory to God the Father and Son Yeshua Mashiach. 1 Kings chapter 19. Elijah flees from Jezebel. Achav told Jezebel everything Eliyahu had done and how he had put all the prophets to the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to say to Eliyahu, "May the gods do terrible things to me and worse ones besides if by this time tomorrow I haven't taken your life, just as you took theirs." On seeing that, he got up and fled for his life. When he arrived in Beersheba, in Yehudah, he left his servant there. Elijah requests to die. But he himself went a day farther into the desert, until he came to a broom tree. He sat down under it and prayed for his own death. "Enough," he said. "Now, Adonai, take my life. I'm no better than my ancestors." Then he lay down under the broom tree and went to sleep. Suddenly, an angel touched him and said to him, "Get up and eat." He looked, and there by his head was a cake baked on the hot stones and a jug of water. He ate and drank, then lay down again. The angel came again, a second time, touched him and said, "Get up and eat, or the journey will be too much for you." He got up, ate and drank, and, on the strength of that meal, traveled 40 days and nights until he reached Horeb, the mountain of God. Elijah has self-pity. There he went into a cave and spent the night. Then the word of Adonai came to him. He said to him, "What are you doing here, Eliyahu?" He answered, "I have been very zealous for Adonai the God of armies, because the people of Israel have abandoned your covenant, broken down your altars and killed your prophets with the sword. Now I'm the only one left, and they're coming after me to kill me too." He said, "Go outside, and stand on the mountain before Adonai," and right then and there, Adonai went past. A mighty blast of wind tore the mountains apart and broke the rocks in pieces before Adonai, but Adonai was not in the wind. After the wind came an earthquake, but Adonai was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake, fire broke out, but Adonai was not in the fire. And after the fire came a quiet, subdued voice. When Eliyahu heard it, he covered his face with his cloak, stepped out and stood at the entrance to the cave. Then a voice came to him and said, "What are you doing here, Eliyahu?" He answered, "I have been very zealous for Adonai the God of armies, because the people of Israel have abandoned your covenant, broken down your altars and killed your prophets with the sword. Now I'm the only one left, and they're after me to kill me too." Adonai said to him, "Go back by way of the Damasek desert. When you get there, anoint Hazael to be king over Aram. Also anoint Jehu the son of Nimshi to be king over Israel, and anoint Elisha the son of Shaphat of Aval-Macholah to be prophet after you. Jehu will kill whoever escapes the sword of Hazael, and Elisha will kill whoever escapes the sword of Jehu. Still, I will spare 7,000 in Israel, every knee that hasn't bent down before Baal and every mouth that has not kissed him." Elisha is called. So he left and found Elisha the son of Shaphat. He was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen. He himself was behind the 12th. Eliyahu went over to him and threw his cloak on him. He left the oxen, ran after Eliyahu and said, "Please let me kiss my father and mother goodbye. Then I will follow you." He answered, "Go, but return, because of what I did to you." Elisha stopped following him. Then he took the yoke of oxen, slaughtered them, cooked their meat over the wooden yokes of the oxen and gave it to the people to eat. Then he got up, went after Eliyahu and became his servant. 1 Kings chapter 20. The first victory over Syria. Now Ben-Hadad the king of Aram rallied his whole army. With him were 32 kings, besides horses and chariots. Then he marched on Shomron and laid siege to it. He sent messengers inside the city to Achav king of Israel, to say to him, "Here is the message from Ben-Hadad. Your silver and gold are mine, also your wives and your best children are mine." The king of Israel answered, "Just as you say, my lord, king, I am yours, along with everything I own." The messengers returned and said, "Here is Ben-Hadad's response. I sent you a message to hand over your silver, gold, wives and children to me. But I am going to send my servants to you tomorrow around this time. They will ransack your house and the houses of your servants, and whatever they see that they like they will seize and remove." Then the king of Israel summoned all the leaders of the land and said, "Please take notice. Do you see how this man is trying to make trouble? First he demanded my wives, children, silver and gold, and I denied him nothing." All the leaders and all the people said to him, "Don't listen, and don't agree." So he said to Ben-Hadad's messengers, "Tell my lord the king, I will do all that you asked of me the first time, but this I cannot do." The messengers left and brought word back to him. Ben-Hadad then sent this message to him, "May the gods do terrible things to me and worse ones as well if there's enough dust in Shomron to give each of my followers a handful." The king of Israel answered, "Tell him, he who is putting on his armor shouldn't boast as if he were taking it off." It happened that Ben-Hadad received this message when he was drinking, he and his kings, in the field barracks. He ordered his servants, "Take up your battle positions." So they got ready to attack the city. At that moment a prophet approached Achav king of Israel and said, "Here is what Adonai says. Have you seen this vast army? I am going to give you victory over them today. Then you will know that I am Adonai." Achav asked, "Who will defeat them?" He answered, "This is what Adonai says, the young men who serve the district governors." He asked, "Who will start the fighting?" And he answered, "You will." He counted the district governors' young men. There were 232. After that, he counted all the people of Israel. There were 7,000. They set out at noon. Ben-Hadad was drinking himself senseless in the field barracks, he and the kings, the 32 kings who were his allies. The district governor's men went out first. Ben-Hadad sent for information, and they reported, "Men have come out from Shomron." He said, "Whether they have come out for peace or for war, take them alive." So the district governor's men left the city, followed by the army. And each one killed his man. Aram fled, and Israel pursued them. Ben-Hadad king of Aram escaped on horseback with some of the cavalry. The king of Israel went out and attacked the horses and chariots, inflicting a massive defeat on Aram. The second victory over Syria. Afterwards, the prophet approached the king of Israel and said to him, "Go, regroup your forces, and think carefully what to do, for next year at this time the king of Aram will renew his attack." Meanwhile, the servants of the king of Aram said to him, "The God is a God of the hills. That's why they were stronger than we were. But if we fight them on level ground, we will certainly be stronger than they are. Also do this: remove all the kings from their commands, and put professional officers in their place. Then recruit an army as big as the army you lost, horse for horse and chariot for chariot. We will attack them on level ground, and we will certainly be stronger than they." He heeded what they said and acted accordingly. At the same time the following year, Ben-Hadad mustered the army of Aram and went up to Aphek to attack Israel. The army of Israel, already mobilized and supplied, went to meet them. But the army of Israel, encamped opposite them, looked like 2 herds of goats, while Aram filled the land. At this point, a man of God approached and said to the king of Israel, "Here is what Adonai says. Because Aram said that Adonai is a God of the hills but not a God of the valleys, I will hand over to you this entire huge army. Then you will know that I am Adonai." They remained in camp opposite each other for 7 days. On the 7th day, the battle began, and the people of Israel killed 100,000 soldiers of Aram in a single day. The rest fled to Aphek, into the city, and the wall fell on 27,000 of the men who were left. Ben-Hadad fled into the city and took refuge in an inside room. His servants said to him, "Hear now, we have heard that the kings of the house of Israel are merciful kings. If it's all right with you, let's put sackcloth around our waists and ropes on our heads, and go out to the king of Israel. Maybe he will spare your life." So they put sackcloth around their waists and ropes on their heads, went to the king of Israel and said, "Your servant Ben-Hadad says, 'Please spare my life.' And he answered, 'He's still alive. He is my brother.'" The men took this as a promising indication and seized on it to say, "Yes, Ben-Hadad is your brother." Then Achav said, "Go, and bring him here." Ben-Hadad went out to him, and Achav had him climb up into his chariot. Ben-Hadad said to him, "I will return the cities my father took from your father. Also you can set up markets for trade in Damasek, as my father did in Shomron. If you put this covenant in writing," said Achav, "I will set you free." So he made a covenant with him and set him free. One of the members of the prophets' guild said to another one, "By the word of Adonai, hit me." But the man refused to hit him. Then he said to him, "Because you didn't listen to the voice of Adonai, the moment you leave me, a lion will kill you." No sooner had he left him than a lion found him and killed him. The prophet went to another man and said, "Hit me." The man struck him a blow and wounded him. The prophet left and waited for the king by the road, disguising himself with a bandage over his eyes. As the king passed by, he called out to the king and said, "Your servant was on his way into the thick of the fighting when someone turned, brought a man to me and said, 'Guard this man. If he is missing, you will pay for his life with yours, or else you will pay 66 pounds of silver.' But while your servant was busy with one thing and another, he disappeared. The king of Israel said to him, 'So that is your sentence. You have pronounced it on yourself.' Quickly he removed the bandage from his eyes, and the king of Israel recognized him as one of the prophets. Then he said to the king, "Here is what Adonai says. Because you have let escape the man I had given over to be destroyed, you will pay with your life for his life and with your people for his people." The king of Israel returned home to Shomron resentful and depressed. 1 Kings chapter 21. The stoning of Naboth. A while later, an incident occurred involving Naboth the Yisraeli. He owned a vineyard in Yisrael, right next to the palace of Achav king of Shomron. Achav spoke to Naboth and said, "Give me your vineyard, so that I can have it as my vegetable garden, because it's close to my palace. In exchange I will give you a better vineyard, or, if you prefer, I will give you its monetary value." But Nabat said to Achav, "Adonai forbid that I should give you my ancestral heritage." Achav went home resentful and depressed at what Nabat the Israeli had said to him. Since he had said, "I won't give you my ancestral heritage," he lay down on his bed, turned his face away and refused to eat. Jezebel his wife went and said to him, "Why are you so depressed that you refuse to eat?" He answered her, "Because I spoke to Nabat the Israeli and said to him, 'Sell me your vineyard for money, or else, if you prefer, I will give you another vineyard for it.' But he answered, 'I won't give you my vineyard.'" "Are you the king of Israel or not?" asked his wife Jezebel. "Get up, eat some food, and cheer up. I will give you the vineyard of Nabat the Israeli." So she wrote letters in Achav's name, sealed them with his seal, and sent the letters to the leaders and notables of the city where Nabat lived. In the letters she wrote, "Proclaim a fast, and give Nabat the seat of honor among the people. Have 2 good-for-nothing men sit opposite him, and have them accuse him publicly of cursing God and the king. Then take him outside and stone him to death." The leaders and notables of the city he lived in did as Jezebel had written in the letters she sent to them. They proclaimed a fast and gave Nabat the seat of honor among the people. The 2 good-for-nothing men came in and sat opposite him, and these scoundrels publicly accused Nabat, saying, "Nabat cursed God and the king." So they took him outside the city and stoned him to death. Then sent a message to Jezebel, "Nabat has been stoned to death." When Jezebel heard that Nabat had been stoned to death, she said to Achav, "Get up, and take possession of the vineyard that Nabat the Israeli refused to sell you, because Nabat is no longer alive. He is dead." When Achav heard that Nabat was dead, he set out to go down to the vineyard of Nabat the Israeli, to take possession of it. Elijah prophesies the death of Ahab. But the word of Adonai came to Eliyahu from Tishbe. "Get up, go down to meet Achav king of Israel, who lives in Shomron. Right now he is in the vineyard of Nabat. He has gone down there to take possession of it. This is what you are to say to him. Here is what Adonai says: You have committed murder, and now you are stealing the victim's property. Also say to him, here is what Adonai says: in the very place where dogs licked up the blood of Nabat, dogs will lick up your blood, yours." Achav said to Eliyahu, "My enemy, you found me." He answered, "Yes, I have found you, because you have given yourself over to do what is evil from Adonai's perspective. Here, says Adonai, I am bringing disaster on you. I will sweep you away completely. I will cut off from Achav every male, whether a slave or free in Israel. I will make your house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nevat, and like the house of Baasa the son of Achiah, for provoking my anger and leading Israel into sin." Adonai also said this about Jezebel: the dogs will eat Jezebel by the wall around Israel. If someone from the line of Achav dies in the city, the dogs will eat him. If he dies in the countryside, the vultures will eat him. Truly, there was never anyone like Achav. Stirred up by his wife Jezebel, he gave himself over to do what is evil from Adonai's perspective. His behavior in following idols was grossly abominable. He did everything the Amori had done, whom Adonai expelled ahead of the people of Israel. Achav, on hearing these words, tore his clothes, put sackcloth on himself and fasted. He slept in the sackcloth and went about dejectedly. Then the word of Adonai came to Eliyahu from Tishbe. Do you see how Achav has humbled himself before me? Since he has humbled himself before me, I will not bring this evil during his lifetime, but during his son's lifetime I will bring the evil on his house. 1 Kings chapter 22. Victory promised by false prophets. For 3 years there was no war between Aram and Israel. Then, in the 3rd year, Jehoshaphat the king of Yehudah came down to the king of Israel. The king of Israel said to his servants, "Are you aware that Ramoth Gilead belongs to us? Yet, we're doing nothing to recover it from the king of Aram." He said to Jehoshaphat, "Will you go with me to attack Ramoth Gilead?" Jehoshaphat answered the king of Israel, "I'm with you all the way. Think of my troops and horses as yours." But Jehoshaphat said to the king of Israel, "First, we should seek the word of Adonai." So the king of Israel assembled the prophets, about 400 men. "Should I attack Ramoth Gilead?" he asked them, "or should I hold off?" They said, "Attack. Adonai will hand it over to the king." But Jehoshaphat said, "Besides these, isn't there a prophet of Adonai here that we can consult?" The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "Yes, there is still one man through whom we can consult Adonai, Micaiah the son of Yimlah, but I hate him, because he doesn't prophesy good things for me, but bad." Jehoshaphat replied, "The king shouldn't say such a thing." Then the king of Israel called an officer and said, "Quickly, bring Micaiah the son of Yimlah." Now the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat the king of Yehudah were each sitting on his throne, dressed in their royal robes, on a threshing floor at the entrance to the gate of Shomron, and all the prophets were there, prophesying in their presence. Sidkiah the son of Kenana had made himself some horns out of iron and said, "This is what Adonai says, with these you will gore Aram until they are destroyed." All the prophets prophesied the same thing. "Go up and attack Ramoth Gilead. You will succeed, for Adonai will hand it over to the king." Micaiah prophesies defeat. The messenger who had gone to call Micaiah said to him, "Here, now, the prophets are unanimously predicting success for the king. Please let your word be like the word of one of them. Say something good." But Micaiah answered, "As Adonai lives, whatever Adonai says to me is what I will say." When he reached the king asked him, "Micaiah, should we go up and attack Ramoth Gilead, or should we hold off?" He answered, "Go up, you will succeed. Adonai will hand it over to the king." The king said to him, "How many times do I have to warn you to tell me nothing but the truth in the name of Adonai?" Then he said, "I saw all Israel scattered over the hills like sheep without a shepherd, and Adonai said, 'These men have no leader. Let everyone go home in peace.'" The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "Didn't I tell you that he wouldn't prophesy good things about me, but bad?" Micaiah continued, "Therefore hear the word of Adonai. I saw Adonai sitting on his throne with the whole army of heaven standing by him on his right and on his left." Adonai asked, "Who will entice Achav to go up to his death at Ramoth Gilead?" One of them said, "Do it this way," and another, "Do it that way." Then a spirit stepped up, stood in front of Adonai and said, "I will entice him." Adonai asked, "How?" And he answered, "I will go and be a deceiving spirit in the mouths of all his prophets." Adonai said, "You will succeed in enticing him. Go, and do it." So now Adonai has put a deceiving spirit in the mouths of all these prophets of yours. Meanwhile, Adonai has ordained disaster for you." Then Sidkiah the son of Kenana came up, slapped Micaiah in the face and said, "And how did the spirit of Adonai leave me to speak to you?" Micaiah said, "You'll find out the day you go into an inside room, trying to hide." The king of Israel said, "Seize Micaiah, and take him back to Amon the governor of the city and Joash the king's son. Say, the king says to put this man in prison, and feed him only bread and water, and not much of that, until I return in peace." Micaiah said, "If you return in peace at all, Adonai has not spoken through me." Then he added, "Did you hear me, you peoples, all of you?" Israel defeated. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat the king of Yehudah went up to Ramoth Gilead. The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "I will disguise myself and go into battle. But you, put on your robes." So the king of Israel disguised himself and went into battle. Now the king of Aram had ordered the 32 chariot commanders, "Don't attack anyone of either high or low rank, only the king of Israel." So when the chariot commanders saw Jehoshaphat they said, "This must be the king of Israel," and turned to attack him. But Jehoshaphat gave a yell. So that the chariot commanders saw that he wasn't the king of Israel and stopped pursuing him. However, one soldier shot an arrow at random and struck the king of Israel between his lower armor and his breastplate. So the king said to his chariot driver, "Turn the reins, and take me out of the fighting. I'm collapsing from my wounds." But the fighting grew fiercer that day, and they propped the king upright in his chariot facing Aram until he died, in the evening, with the blood streaming from his wound onto the floor of the chariot. Around sundown, a cry spread through the ranks, "Every man to his own town, every man to his own land." The death of Ahab. So the king died and was brought to Shomron, and they buried the king in Shomron. They washed the chariot at the pool of Shomron where the prostitutes bathed, and the dogs licked up his blood, in keeping with the word Adonai had spoken. Other activities of Achav's reign, all his accomplishments, the ivory palace he built and all the cities he built are recorded in the annals of the kings of Israel. So Achav slept with his ancestors, and Achaziah his son became king in his place. The reign of Jehoshaphat over Judah. Jehoshaphat the son of Asa began his reign over Yehudah in the 4th year of Achav king of Israel. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he began to rule, and he ruled 25 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Azuvah, the daughter of Shilchi. He lived in the manner of Asa his father and did not turn away from it, doing what was right from Adonai's perspective. Although the high places were not taken away, the people still sacrificed and presented offerings on the high places. Jehoshaphat made peace with the king of Israel. Other activities of Jehoshaphat, all his power that he demonstrated and how he made war are recorded in the annals of the kings of Yehudah. He rid the land of the male and female cult prostitutes remaining from the time of his father Asa. There had previously been no king in Edom, but now a deputy was made king. Jehoshaphat built some large Tarshish ships to go to Ophir for gold, but they didn't make the voyage, because they were wrecked at Ezion-Geber. Achaziah the son of Achav suggested to Jehoshaphat that his men should go to sea with Jehoshaphat's men, but Jehoshaphat would not agree. The reign of Ahaziah over Israel. So Jehoshaphat slept with his ancestors and was buried with his ancestors in the city of David his ancestor, and Joram his son became king in his place. Achaziah the son of Achab began his reign over Israel in Shomron in the 17th year of Joshaphat king of Yehuda, and he ruled 2 years over Israel. He did what was evil from Adonai's perspective, living in the manner of his father, his mother, and Jeroboam the son of Nevat, by which he led Israel into sin. He also served Baal and worshipped him, and he made Adonai the God of Israel angry, in keeping with everything his father had done.